Shabbos. Muktzeh is one of the very early taking Chazal. There's an opinion that Muktzeh even started with Shleiman Malach. I was told it was times of Yermia, but it's a very early taking. And the Rabbi brings down the language of the Rambam, who really explains it so well. Let's see the really articulates it in such a nice, beautiful way. So he says, before I say this, I always tell people, Shabbos is, what is Shabbos? Shabbos is we don't do. And somehow people think Shabbos is what we do. It's what we don't do. Shabbos is a day of rest. What we don't do this. It's not what we do. It's like the only thing we really do is Kiddush. And be a little bit neurotic out of Shabbos. You're nervous and tense. That's what we surely do. But in reality, right, Shabbos is what we not do. So we're going to learn how this works, how the halacha works. Okay. Amri Chachamim. Asri Chachamim, the Tauber Muktzeh Zurim B'Shabbos. Chazal said, do not touch certain things in Shabbos, k'derech she'is b'chol. Like you do in the weekdays. Ne'ma nogi be'isa zeh. Why did the Chazal make this issa? Amri, they said, Ma mizina nevi'im. The nevi'im said, Hilchos b'Shabbos k'lichos b'chol. Shabbos, you have to walk differently than the weekdays. Shabbos, you're not allowed to run, big strides, you got to take it easy. I'll say a short word because I was a little nervous I was going to be called to speak at the hospital, and I didn't want to speak this Sunday on this tragedy that happened. So while I was standing there, they were asking me to speak, and I was debating the end. I didn't want to speak, it's a Chodesh. But I thought to myself, it says, V'yetzi Yankev Be'er Yankev left Be'er Shuvah, Elchonon went to Elchonon. Now, why does it say V'yetzi? Rivka tells Yankev, run for your life. Your brother wants to kill you. It doesn't say V'burach Yankev. It says V'yetzi Yankev. He left. And he knew Esav was. He knew better than anyone else. You're on his wrong side, you're in trouble. And it says, and he went to Charon means anger. See, when Tzaddik leaves, Tzaddik is calm, Yankov is within the Shabbos. Take it easy, don't panic, don't lose yourself. Shabbos, your walking has to be different. Shabbos, you have to take it easy. It's an incredible feeling, don't hurry, take it easy. So that's how, this is the Navi says this. Many people don't know this. This is Pusing Yishai. This is early in the Navi. It's very interesting that you're walking. Then there's another thing. Kesichas HaShabbos, Kesichas HaChol. Wow. That's the hardest thing. Not to talk Shabbos, we're not to talk Shabbos. I'm not going to go into Halacha, but I'll just tell you what Chassidim used to do. There were Chassidim, Shabbos did not talk only Rosh HaKodesh. That was before Hebrew was a language. I'm talking about hundreds of years ago. So they should not talk anything, but Shabbos is, like it's always say, Shabbos is the Yetzer Hara is to talk about things you don't want to talk, the people think you make an introduction. In Yiddish there's a saying, Nicht auf Shabbos gerät. It means you're not supposed to talk about a Shabbos, but I know Shabbos is not supposed to talk business, but
isn't that what they do with the Hesped on the Chodesh?
So they do. So that's why I never asked what they asked me to do, and I said, no, you're not supposed to do it. You can't get up and say, you're not supposed to make the Hesped public. So then you say, the Chodesh and Chanukah is Allah, it's not a minute. So anyways, just want to come back. So Shabbos, you got to be careful what you talk. you know, and don't talk about things that make you sad. Don't make you talk about things that annoy you. On Shabbos, you have to, you know, there is even an amazing Yerushalma. The Yerushalma says that if Shim B'Yechoy had an older mother, she used to talk. And if Shim B'Yechoy the Ma, it's Shabbos. She didn't talk business, that I could tell you. She used to talk, and he said, Ma, it's Shabbos. You know, I'm not saying we're up to that level, but at least don't talk business, don't talk about sad things, you know, Shabbos. And it was, I don't know if you all realize, the Nubi said, your walking Shabbos should be different than the weekdays, and your talk should be different. You have to make, you know, you have to talk about, get the business, loving, kind, you know, the V'retayra, happiness. I want to quickly say a thing that I do in my house. You know, I have a bunch of children in Halacha. Most of them are married already, still have 2 children. So when they were young, it was very hard to get the children to sit at the table. Anyone who has children will tell you that. After the fish, they're gone. Like, anyone who has children will tell you that. So what I introduced from my family, every child has to thank Hashem. And believe it or not, they got glued to the chair. Now, no one likes to thank, you know, we all know that. We like to criticize, we like to be angry, and, you know, the thanking. But, you know, if you get them to thank, it's very, very powerful. First, I found out what's going on in the week. You know, the teens don't talk much. You have to thank, you find out. And it's a very powerful thing. You talk about positive things. You can't talk to the Torah all the time. It just doesn't work. And how much, you know, you can sing with them. But if you talk and they learn, it's a very powerful thing. They learn how to appreciate life. Because kvetching, I don't need encouragement. You know, I walk through the door and they're kvetching, you know. I don't need any encouragement. It's just the power of kvetching is full power, full horsepower. You know. But to thank, you know, I've said this often, you know, Hallmark does not sell cards of criticism. You know that. We know how to do much better. Someone said it over here, it's also too small. And we criticize, we know. We say it over and over again, and, you know. And who has time to wait? We're very marked with Zriza Makim in the mitzvahs. We want to do it now. I don't want to wait. Well, thank my wife. Oh, I'll go next time I go pay Srs05, I'll get a car. No, there's time. When you get angry, you want to do it right away, very marked. Not so marked with Tishma, but the anger. So anyway, so it is very powerful too. It's Shabbos, it's a very, like children get used to thanking Hashem, appreciating. So anyways, so the Nubi said, it's amazing, the Nubi said, Shabbos, you should walk differently and talk differently. So the Chazal said, if walking you're supposed to talk, your whole Shabbos talk should be differently, the more so what you touch and what you move around should be different too. That's what he says. Why? It shouldn't be like a weekday, like Bia, Ilesak, Kelim Pin Lepina, or Bais, or Litzir. The Rambam, this is the words of the Rambam. See, the Rambam understood that it's not clear how to learn. Now, I'll just explain it. I don't want to get into the longness and how the yeshivas learn, but the Rambam seems to say Shabbos, we have to make sure that it's recognizable as Shabbos. You know, sometimes you could sit in the couch and Tuesday also do nothing. So there has to be a recognition at Shabbos. So if you don't talk about business and you don't walk this way and you don't touch anything, I can't touch this. You know, the most powerful thing for young children, then you know, most of you have young children, Muktzeh is the most powerful thing, right? It's Muktzeh. That they understand. You know, tell them you can't carry, that's, right? Young children, Muktzeh, that's about the only thing you understand. You know, you can't touch this, you can't touch this. It's a feeling of Shabbos. So that's how, so the Rambam adds now, because otherwise, you're going to start moving things around. You start moving things around, then you start building things, you know, you start, you know, it's a day off, so maybe we'll do something, he says. The Rambam says the nature, the Lushan Arab, the nature of a person when he's free, he wants to do something. it amazes me when people are free, they have a hard time sitting and thinking. Most people have to sit, it's either the computer, the internet, or sit down and just think about it. Just come. Sounds like people are afraid to sit and think. People, the nature, if they have free time, do something. Read something. Maybe just sit and smell the roses. That doesn't, people don't think about that. Just think, thinking is thinking is a process too. You think through your thoughts and, anyways, but most people, not that way, the Rambam says, most people, what they do is, they're going to find something to do. And the next thing, you're going to be Chal Shabbos. So Chazal said, do not move things, do not to touch things. That's going to keep us from doing any Chal Shabbos. And the Rambam adds another thing there. The Rambam seems to say that you are going to move things around in the house. You're going to move things around. And it means you could see. I don't want to get into the Shiva charade, as we say. But there's a Rabban al Tauber, which Rabban al Tauber says a very important thing. Shabbos is also a day of rest, even though the Torah doesn't say that means what happens? I do no malocha. I'm going to start moving my furniture at home, moving it around. There's no malocha involved. I just move the couch this way, I'll take out all the svarim, put it in another papan. It's hard work, but there is no violation in any work. The Ramban al Tauber explains Shabbos literally also means to rest. And the Ramban seems to say it's a daraisa. So even though you didn't violate any malacha, nothing. If I decide to take out all the svarim and put it in another closet, the svarim, you didn't do a violation. It's in the house. Just was a big job, a big headache, and a physical labor. The Rambam says that is not, the Rabban al Tauber explains Shabbos has to be a day of rest. So that's what many learn to the Rambam, the Loshen Rambam. If you're going to start, if you're allowed to be called Muktzeh, you're not going to rest on Shabbos.
Is walking a problem? Is walking far a problem? Work. Not resting.
Well, Chazal made guidelines, you don't. Chazal say you're allowed to take a long walk if you want to. It's true, but we'll get to it in Hilchos Shabbos later, where certain things, Chazal say, look, I can't tell someone how much you're allowed to walk. Some of the Shonim hold that the whole chitz, the tchum, meant not to take a long walk. You're allowed to walk outside the city limits more than 2,000. Others hold it's nothing to do with that, but it's hard to tell people walk 5 blocks, 10 blocks, 20 blocks. So so that's where you're allowed to take a walk. But generally speaking, Shabbos is a day of rest. One of the things my children do, thank Hashem Friday night, I thank it Shabbos. And I think there was a Elchonon came out the cooler that you use the iPad, you could use at least once a week, everyone has to talk. And I'm not sure. But I've heard from people that they never talk because everyone's reading all the symbols. At least you got to sit at the table, you got to talk and look at each other. Okay, the Rabbi. Another reason he says that they gave the Raitzu from carrying Shami Yishkach, V'yoytzi, or carry Hadush and Metalto V'yudo L'Shisarabim. Maybe you take something onto L'Shisarabim. Very easy. One of Raitzu is very easy to make a mistake. I don't want to go into the question of the Erev, but I want you to understand that everyone agrees to this. The question is the Erev good or not good. But everyone agrees if you could make an Erev, it's a mitzvah to make an Erev because it's so easy to forget yourself and carry. We all know that. Rarely does a person forget himself and cooks. Rarely does today you could cover the lights. Carrying, and many people forget themselves. Oh, I forgot this, I forgot that. He walks out. And so that's why the additional reason is you can't touch many things, the chances of carrying will be less. He says, so the Rabbi says, so you should, everything should move. If you have a rule We don't make Exera the Tzibah more than they could make it too hard. So this is amazing. That means not to speak Lashon Hara is not so hard. Otherwise, they wouldn't make him an Avad Lashon Hara. The truth is, nothing is hard if you really want to do it. In life, everything is hard because you don't want to do it. Get your teenager to wash the dishes. You think you're asking who knows what, you know what I mean? If you don't want to do it, then it's the hardest thing. And if you really want to do it, it's the easiest thing in life to do. So, anyway, Chazal didn't want to burden too much of carrying, to carry, too much of not touching this, not doing that. So they allowed Kalish from after that. He explains another thing. This is very interesting. This is words of the Rambam. Shmitzes of eine Balainris. There's a part of the population, no, not professionals. All day long, they don't do anything. Cannot tayulam. Tayul means they say in English? Tourists? Not tourists. People who walk around.
Malaysia.
I don't know how you say that. But someone who doesn't work and just walks around. I remember as a young child, before television was around, people used to sit around in the corners and gather. People unemployed people today. They do it to the TV 24/7. But before there was a TV, people didn't know what to do. They would sit and play chess in the corners and play checkers and decide the major decisions about the politics.
In my neighborhood, there are certain ethnic groups that tend to congregate outside of the stoops. That's what it is.
Okay. I should call you Mayam. And Shafsen Bemelocha, all week they don't work. And Yamita la Halacha, the Tauber, the Taldik Shaliyom, Limcha Shuashi Sanikeres. So the Rambam learns a very fascinating thing. You have to have a Shabbos, has to be Nikeres, has to be recognizable. These people don't work anyways all long. They do nothing. They sit and play chess. So you need to have such people. How is Shabbos going to be Shabbos? He doesn't work, and he doesn't do anything, doesn't cook at home, his wife does the cooking. How is Shabbos going to be for this individual Shabbos? Very interesting. So the Rambam learned another very profound thing. Shabbos has to be felt when you celebrate Shabbos. And I have this question very often. This week a doctor called me, and he asked me, when he wants to go to a convention, it's not an obligation, but for his specialty, and he just listens to lectures, and it's going to be Shabbos, it's going to be Friday afternoon, Shabbos, and Sunday. So this question always comes up. The doctor's allowed to go to advance but I always tell them, you make sure you wear your best Shabbos clothing. First of all, not to forget, you should wear the suit that you wear every Shabbos. I know you don't wear a Beckett shirt, but wear something you feel Shabbos, because you sit around, people don't keep Shabbos. It's very easy, and you're supposed to feel it Shabbos.
Wouldn't wearing a yarmulke in this sort of circumstance be a chol Hashem, where other people might presume that you
just listen to us? Everybody's just listening to lectures.
You're listening to a lecture. You're watching a slideshow.
Is that because he's a doctor, it's okay, or?
It's a doctor. Truthfully, I only give that to the doctors because it's very hard to them, but anything, if you're to learn a profession, you're allowed to.
Yes, like the law student that we discussed last time.
Yes, to learn the profession, a law student wants to not look up a case that he's working on. But let's say new law came out, and the new law regulations came out. But that, somehow that's also because Mamish is gay right now for his clients. But a doctor needs advance from, yes?
It's really such a question. He's not going to be putting on tefillin. He's got a different shmona esrei. He's got 3 meals. The whole day is different, even without this. No? Even if this guy's sleeping, he's going to be changing all the things.
Shows that the
davening.
Yeah. But the only thing that really is different is the Shemoneh Esrei. You know, unfortunately, people don't remember when you step out. Did I daven Shem Nestor? I didn't daven Shem Nestor.
But the lady that's standing at the street corner can still stand at the street corner on Shabbos. You can still play chess on Shabbos.
Yeah, but he's saying no. But if you cannot talk about things, you cannot touch things, and he cannot, he's talking and there's the thing, he's going to play chess. I can't talk about business. And I can't do, can't certain things I won't be able to touch. He'll be reckoned. If you know you can't touch a pen Shabbos, you can't touch the iPad, you can't touch the, it tells you it's Shabbos. You feel Shabbos that way. So the Rambam understood, it's very, very powerful. You need to feel Shabbos. The Arishonim learn, it says, Zucher es Yom Shabbos the Katcher, that's Kiddush. Shumoi, the Arishonim, you have to guard Shabbos. You have to be on guard. Shabbos today. That's it's a Shumoi. What does Shumoi mean? Shumoi, we learn, it means keep but all the Rishonim learn, you must be on guard. Yes?
I wouldn't want to break something with like your phone on Shabbos. If there's a use for something like Muktzeh, but there's a use for it, are you allowed to use it?
We'll get to it. The phone is Muktzeh, Machs mit Seven Kiss. All our smartphones, unless you are very wealthy, and guy tells me that who's very wealthy in my neighborhood, it's the third iPhone he bought his wife. He says, what? Well, she gives the children to play. But most people, let the children play with it. Not mine, at least. I don't have such an updated one. And it's quite old time still. So it's something, it's Muktzeh. That's Muktzeh no matter what. If it's a Muktzeh, you can't even move it.
What if you're using it to for something that's used for Shabbos, without cooking or something? I don't know, if you want to break a nut open with a radio or something, are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, what?
We're going to break a nut open with a radio.
If the nut is used for something on Shabbos, you're not allowed to?
Yeah, but we never used that during the week. Did you ever open it up at the radio?
No.
No,
That's like special, it's Shabbos.
So we say that's why it's only a hammer you might use. No one uses it. You use a radio, you want to use an iPad, you want to use an iPhone. Most people have iPads, iPhone, iPad, all these eyes are don't touch, don't look at it too much. You know what I mean? Very protected. It's that's what we'll learn later. It's called Muktzeh Machmas Seven Kiss. And it's a whole Muktzeh. Yes.
So obviously we should not speak about business, but what about politics and anything?
The state of Israel.
Politics in the state of Israel.
Let me tell you. Halacha, you're allowed to talk politics, state of Israel, all these things you're allowed to talk. The Loshen Rambam is the Yarbe Sicha. Rambam says all these things Shabbos you shouldn't talk. If you could control yourself, do not talk. And only if you enjoy it. There are people who don't enjoy politics.
So are we saying?
Like I said, I like sports. A lot of people are just, it's my Lakers. I don't know who the Lakers won or Giants won. It's my Giants, whoever won. But others people are like, so it's not enjoyable for them. So I'm just saying, Rambam says you shouldn't if it's not. Truthfully is, if we be really up to that level, we shouldn't talk about sports, we shouldn't talk about politics, we should find, good things to talk. Torah. You don't have to talk always Torah, just about things about life. I love to bring up to my children things about life, what they experience in life. Yes.
Just like that with that, you learn Torah all week long. So then if you learn Torah on Shabbat too, it's like that's it's not different. I'm not saying.
Let me answer the question. And
Just saying a guy who learns in Kotel, it's not Shabbos thing to learn on Shabbos.
I didn't say it, but you did.
I'll answer quickly. There's a medrash and there's a medrash says that when the Torah complained to the Rabbi, he says as soon as the Jews are going to come into Israel, this guy's going to run to his vineyard, this guy's going to run to his field, and this guy's going to run to this. What's going to be with me? They're going to abandon me. That's what the Torah complained. Rabbi says, I have a good shidduch for you. I have a shidduch for your shidduch, Shabbos. Shabbos they won't be busy, they can't work, they can't do nothing. You can learn to take. The Rizal quotes, I know this, that the weekdays you should learn halacha, more halacha, and Shabbos you should learn more Kabbalah or more drush, things that warm your heart. Things that good word on the passion. Like during the week you gotta fight, you gotta to add to add to what he asks. There's a famous word from the Ramban. All the Chassidim say, Yitzchak dug three wells last week's pasha. One was called Sitnu, one was called Isku, and one was called the Chayvis. So many learn that was Sitnu was called the Satan. During the week, you guys are making panasa, you're fighting. It's a battle. You're going, making a panasa, no matter, even if you work for the government, it's still a battle. You know what I mean? It's a battle. But that's it. And then Isaac is, you are Isaac, you're busy. Shabbos is called the Chayvis. Shabbos is weird, it's just calm, peaceful. It's a time. Okay.
Therefore, just to answer his question, you should learn, but learn things that are more Jewish.
Yeah, more Drush. I'll explain it to you in another profound way. There's a Gemara in Masechta Sanhedrin. What it says, there's Chayvel and Noyam. That means, what it says that the Chum called Chavla. Talmud Bavli is a legal fight. It's a battle. When you learn the Gemara, it's a real battle. He says this, I challenge him, you're wrong, not wrong. The Yifta, refute it, play the Rasha's of Pshat, the gang on him, you're wrong, another Pshat. Talmud Bavli is a incredible fight. It's a war, it's a battle. That's what it really is. It's incredible if you enjoy it, and it's a battle. The Gadita, the Drush, you never find in the Zohar or the Medrash Tiyifte is refuted. Guy says about, he says about, he says about. You don't argue. You don't like the votes? Move on. There's no battle. There's no battle. Shabbos is Bechinis Kabbalah, which there's no battle. It's calm, it's sweet. That's the chelik. There's the chelik of Yehuda. Yehuda was fighting, was David, and there was a battle, it was a legal battle. And there's the chelik of Yosef, the chelik of Tzaddik, which is warms a person's heart. Just learning certain things, just warm a person. Okay. Okay, Fikach Shvisa Geburim Ili, the Rambam said the Fikach Shvisa would be a Shvisa Shul B'Chaluda, the Zen Nogi Bis and Filter, or Shitalkin Shabbos, Ele Kerish, Shvisa Shmaizma. So the Rambam says this is the words of the Rambam. It's a very profound thing. Muktzeh is you should treat Shabbos differently. It is, it's an incredible thing. Shabbos, the Gemara says, this is a Talmud Bavli. The Gemara said there was I forgot the name. A lady asked the neighbor, the food smelled so good Shabbos. Can you give me with your recipe? He said it's only going to help if you keep Shabbos. I can give you a recipe for tomorrow. Try to eat Shalom Tuesday afternoon. Well, it doesn't work. Try to eat filter fish.
I heard at Borough Park on Thursday nights, a lot of people are eating Shalom.
It's a preparation. All of Shabbos is Shiurim. But the truth is that way. It's hard. It's a whole atmosphere. It's a whole ambience. It's hard to describe it. It's hard to.
So I always say here overall that really almost every day should be Muktzeh, but
right.
And the purpose for that is so that you should know that Shabbos is different.
That's one of the reasons. Another reason Another reason is because there are people who don't work and just week out. Another reason they shouldn't come to work. You imagine you can touch the iPad and iPhone, and you can touch a hammer, and you come to work and do things. See, when a person has a day off, he naturally likes to find something to do. That's human nature. All right. Either I don't know, Baruch Hashem, I don't have this sign, but I can't, people that sit in front of the TV, how many hours. I've asked young teenagers to do it, do you feel good after watching 4 hours? Even a football game, I asked them, was it so good? 4 hours, you glued to the TV. All right. You know why it's different? Because we're fighting, and it's my team against your team. We all have this violence in us, believe it or not. I'm not going to fight, but I want him to fight. I want him to fight well. I was told when two players get into a fight, people even cheer more than the home run, whatever. That's schmack. Okay. There are Kolduva. It's Kolduva Shesh by Tredis Keli Mita the Talk Mishtaba. Any that has a Shem Keli, related to discuss what it is, what Talk Hader Shizban, Keli Shemachta Issa, even a Keli Shemachta Issa. We're going to see when see the guideline, but it's called a Keli, a hammer, and a screwdriver, or even certain Keli where they will see why an iPad, or we'll see, but it's called a Keli. He says the Heinish Keli Miyichel Tashmus B'Shabbos Gel Karden hatchet Shemavakim Ba'Eitzim a Karnish on the Fuchem a smith's hammer or Shezrovim a goldsmith Kyoitzeben. The Keli Shnachtel is a Shemuksamach Mismiusoy. What's a Keli Shnachtel is, which is a little bit disgusting. The Heinish Ude Messiach Muktzeh Memach Mismiusoy. See, a hammer you might use, screwdriver. But let's say you have a Keli which is really a little bit disgusting. Yeah, it's like you use it for pitch, the roof, there's tar. You're not interested in using it too much. I had to explain to the boys how Hadlukas Neder Shabbos was. Many people, we think that that Lukas Neder's there was a candle, that each room had a candle. So the Ned, they used to have, we are so lucky. It boggles my mind. We're sitting here, they're lit up. They used to have kerosene, they used to have challah, they used to who knows what, and it used to smell, and it used to be, and the whole thing looked disgusting. You have a holder for the net, which you just used, which is not very clean after being used. So he says, Ein Leute Muktzeh b'shulkach, doesn't have the Muktzeh b'shdach. Afilem ein Rui Klal, Shtam Rabuluch Acher Shel Het Mach Misisa Zechron. Even though you cannot use it, you're going to hear the Rav explains. Let me explain what he says. There is a Keli Shemlachtel Iser, a hammer, and these things. If you really need to use the hammer, you can use the hammer. Not I use to move around for no reason. If I need the hammer, like he said, to break nuts, or I need the hammer. I remember as a newlywed, I lived in an apartment, the windows wouldn't stay open, so we put a hammer to keep the window open in the summer. You use a hammer, you use anything, anything because, so it's a Keli Shemachtel Issa, if there's a need for it, it's okay. So even something that has a bad odor, but if you would find something really for it, you would use it. Nobody not, but it's not totally pushed out of your mind, he says. Which smells apapi ken ain't the Muktzeh looks a betilto. A mitter talto with sharp the yellow with talto location on listen. Shem come can really lechas with kelim. You could cover something with it. In short, a keli shemalachta leisa. If it was not used on Shabbos, let's say a ned is not Muktzeh. We're going to soon see a ned. Let's talk about a ned. Let's take apart a ned. A ned is called a keli shemalachta leisa. And that means the holder of the candles. It's called the Keli Shemachtel Issa. You can only use it if you have a need to. Now, if it was burnt on Shabbos, we later on it's totally Muktzeh. The candle lanterns which burn on our lighters.
While the candle's lit.
Even after it goes out. Later on that's because when it's shmoshes you couldn't use it. So semigede is gesur when it's shmoshes gesur. Since when it's shmoshes you couldn't move it, it stays Muktzeh for the rest of Shabbos. Then there's another concept of Muktzeh, which is, our candelabra, most of us, I imagine, not just Hungarians, it's silver, a nice silver candelabra. It's very expensive. Your wife will never allow you to use it for anything else. So that becomes a Muktzeh machmes chasorum kis. You understand? There's a not that there's something that's very expensive, like today, an iPod or this iPhone or anything. All these things are very expensive. You would not let anyone use anything else. You wouldn't let them. That's the reality is of it. You just you're careful not to have use. So Mamela, Shabbos, it's not just the Kiddush that they said. It's a Muktzeh machmas chsorin kiss. So you can't, it's left on the table, you can't even put it, you can't say, well, I need the table, I can take off a hammer. If I leave the hammer on the table, I say, listen, I want to sit down and eat, I can pick up the hammer and put it away. You leave the iPod on the table, you can't take it off. You got to knock it off the back of your hand. Because it's Muktzeh machmas chsorin kiss. You would never use it for anything else. That's a very strong Muktzeh. So this is very important. I see the young teenager using an iPod and it's so, no one should touch it, the iTouch, no one should touch it. I had a cute story. 2 teenagers come to me and a guy, his cousins, and he asked them, begged him, he's going on a trip, can I use your iTouch? I gotta get the names right, iTouch. And he got him on, he made a deal with him. If you scratch it, any scratch gets it, you gotta get me a new one, and not this. The newer version, every year or every 2 years, I don't know how it goes.
Every 6 months.
He said, yes, no problem. And he did scratch it up. You know what I mean? So he says, the guy says, okay, I'll get you on eBay, the same thing. He says, no, that deal was, I want a new one, and updated.
Isn't that a smartphone?
So I said to them, it's an asmachta. He's not obligated. He's only obligated to, he's obligated to get you. He could demand, he could demand to get him a new one. You keep that, he had a right to demand. Get me another one without scratches. But that was the deal. That's not an asmachta. That's the value. He doesn't want the headache. This is I don't go into Chashmishta now. But to ask him more than the value, get you updated on here, he doesn't have to, that's called an asmachta. Anyways, so that is, I see all the time the teenagers. He has to give it, not to give it, it's called chsorin kiss. You know what that means? That means you are not going to use it for anything but for that. So that becomes like a remix. Your pen, you could have an expensive pen. I scratch myself, and I have expensive pocket pen. I flip it in the air, and it's a pen. Even though it's expensive, the guy got me a gift, but it's in the bottom line, you're not acted like other things. So an expensive pen will be just a Kiddush Menachalisa.
So can you just go through the categories here? There's Muktzeh of something that you could have a use for, and then there's stuff that you could have a use for, but it's like disgusting.
Right, and then there's Kiddush Menachalisa, which means that you will never use it for anything but what it's designated. Your phone at home, the cordless phone, you don't care if it falls. They're not so much, yourself, that's not Chasson.
Well, what about a specialty tool that's not used for anything else?
Like what?
So what is that?
Like give emotion.
Huh? Like what? I don't know, you got a guy who's a watchmaker, and he has like these little...
That's a son case.
Even if it's a cheap tool?
That's what he doesn't want people to fool around with it, because he doesn't want to lose it. That's not expensive, he just needs it, and he doesn't want people to...
A sheikhet's knife, for example.
A sheikhet's knife, a sheikhet's knife, or
no, I guess the difficulty I'm having understanding is the distinction. Is the focus on the value of the item, like the silver lighter, or is it just like my wife has a lighter? It's not that expensive. It's not silver, but it's her Shabbos lighter. So
the focus is each one is different. The lighter Shabbos. It depends. If it's silver, we have an expensive one. She doesn't, there's no way she'll ever use it for anything else. But if you have a not expensive one, people used to use it for anything. Hold up things and put it on the side, it's just brass.
But is it a personal thing? Like, hey,
it becomes personal.
Even if it's not worth much on the street, but if it's important to me.
Right. If you are the one, if you're the type that's not going to use it for anything but for that, then it becomes about kiss.
So does that change if a person's very wealthy?
Yeah, it does. This guy tells me that this is his third wife's iPhone. He's very wealthy, a young guy. He's very wealthy.
So he can move the iPhone off the table.
It's funny. He says, I don't let my children play with mine. my wife, you know what I mean?
So if his is on the table, you can't move it.
Move it.
But his
Why?
wife can move it. Alright.
But you can't move it, or it's how you move it? What's the?
Well, you can't move it regular, you're allowed to move the back of your hand. Any muktzeh, you're allowed to move the back of your hand.
No, but if it's a keli, that like a hammer,
If you
then
want
you
to
can-
sit down, you can pick up the matches. You know, often when you light the candles and your wife puts the matches down on the table, that's the most irritating thing. So, if you want to use the table, you pick up the match. A match is called a keli shemalachta le'isa. You don't care. You might use it. You might use the match for anything you want. So you pick it up and put it away.
could she pick it up and, I mean,
Yeah, she can pick it up. You know, it has to be. You need the place.
And even if the matchbox is covered in the silver, the nice Shabbos silver matchbox, so now it's
Silver, sweet silver.
you never saw those?
I did.
So I'm saying, so that's a special matchbox you only use on Shabbos. That can you move if you need the space, you
no, then you
can.
changed it, then you changed its speed.
Now you change the thing. That's the
Not this
difference.
So you
That's
have to
what
go
Sunday
with
is,
it.
right. But a matchbox is. See, we live. I want to explain something. We live so differently. Even I, watching from 30 years ago, you know what I mean? Like today, so many of these things are just, your iPhone and all these things, the tchotchkes that people have in the last 10 years. I remember 10 years ago, what iPhone, what iPad, what and every teenager needs an iPad or iPhone, whatever it's called. It's a whole different world. These are things that vary market. That's why I tell the teens, you must have a mixer drawer. You can't put it between clothing because by them, the iPhone or whatever these things are more important than the socks and who knows what. Ask a teenager. So you have to have a muktzeh drawer because otherwise he can't even open the little lady, can't even open the drawer.
So keli shematura, the keli that you have that has a keli shemalachta lisser. Am I allowed to touch it just because I feel like touching it, or can I only touch it when I need?
You're only allowed to touch it if you need to use it or you need a place. Now you could a lot of cases, you say you're sitting there, but you want this matches off the table. You can say, you know what, I want to sit here, I'm going to open my safer here, the matches is here, I've got to pick it up and put it away. You're allowed to play it, you know what I'm saying? That means really that you're sitting over there, but your wife is annoyed, the matches is here, you can get up, come here, sit down on over there, open the safe, the matches here, I can't learn, pick it up and put it away.
But the matches you can use as a toothpick or something.
Right, that's why it's just a case, not the list. Matches is a. So we're going to get later more details of how this works. Yes.
If I have that proverbial pen and I have the window that I want to keep open, I can't find a hammer, I can use the pen to hold it
Yeah,
open.
I love to learn with a pen. If it wouldn't be that people would look at me like who knows what, I have a Shabbos pen which I took out the evil, but I don't have to take it out because I use my pen when I read quickly with the thing. I do it all the time. So, but I take it out in case I might, and when people come into my office and see me Shabbos learning with the pen.
Shabbos.
I tell them there's no refill inside.
But so is there anything that you can't use, like a CD, like I have a CD-ROM case, and I want to use that, there's no use for that on Shabbos at all.
CD-ROM just a case, you can use it for anything.
What about here?
That's like, it's not expensive, you couldn't care less, you lean a safer on it.
What's the example of something I couldn't use at all on Shabbos to hold open my window?
Yeah, you couldn't use the iPhone.
Yeah,
Like iPhone,
Whatever. It's one of the data, it's a whole different type of look. But iPhone, or
iPhone you can't use because it's something that's too valuable to normal users. If you're willing to go and put your iPhone there,
Saying
it's not
that,
that
even if you now decided yes to use it, but only now you decided yes to use it, it's Muktzeh. Because normally you will never use the iPhone for anything else.
But let's say you have a lot, it's not a question of money, but there's the possibility that you could come to use the phone just by touching it.
Well, that concept, can we make our own is related on Shiurim. And if you, those good old days, remember they had the watches and had a computer on it, and it wasn't so long ago, but it's outdated. I noticed something interesting in my shoe. You know what I noticed? That no one uses watches anymore. All the time. And of course, people have a cell phone, they don't use watches anymore. So I asked the guy watchmaker, he said, you better do it. I lost money because people don't want to buy watches anymore. Only very expensive watches. Buys for a fiancé or the Hassan Kala watch. Who buys a watch? Today, the young generation don't have watches. They're saying, but coming back to the thing, we can ask them because we live in, our whole generation is different. Everything is like, so again, there are things that you would never use ever, so that's really Muktzeh. Even now you decided to use it for something. Let's see, we'll get to more cases. One of the famous questions is a passport. You know, I forget, in Israel you gotta wear ID card, right? Who's from Israel over there, right? You have to, it's called the ID card, I forgot what it's called. Right, and you have to, you know, legally all the time. The Fruma don't wear it, and they claim it's Muktzeh, because you really need the ID card generally for what? To go to the bank, go to the post office, most of it's for that, to show you the ID. So it's made to transactions, so it's a Kiddush and Nachtalisa. So you just can't carry around just like that.
But that's for security.
Well, it's much more than Kiddush Malchus in Israel, because there you actually, if you lose it, it's a big, no one wants to lose it, you're not using brain.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but it's right, it's like some kids, no one.
It's funny you said that case, because my brother goes to the prisons for the Tauber. So this year he went with Chassidish guy that was he was like the chazan up there. So before Yontif, he was very mocked to go and hide his driver's license, like place near, because he didn't want to I don't know, carry his license or something like that. He was worried about maybe there was Muktzeh or something like that. I mean,
It's worried about Muktzeh. Many places in Srs05 it is Muktzeh. I see. I don't live in Israel. When the first time I read about it, that it's Muktzeh, I didn't understand it. It's just an ID card. But people explained to me it's mainly used in Israel for transactions. Going to the post office, you go to the bank, you drive. The police will pull you over while you're driving. But it's mainly used when you take a Kiddush of Shiurim. So maybe it's like. See, my credit card is different. It's like money. But besides credit card is like money. How often, I was locked out of the shul, the small room over there in my shul. So a guy tells me, what type of credit card? If you have American Express, those credit cards are the best. And he took his own card out and just jiggled in 2 minutes, he opened the door. He could do it all the time. So credit card is, people do, I see people study, take it out, and they use it as markers, make lines. But the reason that credit card is Muktzeh is because it is like cash, it's like money. Money is Muktzeh since it's made for transactions. So it has a whole different type of a Muktzeh. Money is Muktzeh, even though it's Muktzeh machen das Guploy. It's Namish Muktzeh. So credit card Muktzeh. The Chiddush that was that the ID card is that way. Yes.
I have a Muktzeh drawer, I have pens and I have phones. I need to use something to open the window. Am I allowed to open the drawer to grab something to open the window?
No.
The drawer's stuck. You can't
Can't really do that. No.
So you have two drawers.
So I have to have something that I can. So if my Muktzeh that I'm going to use to open the window is in a drawer, I can't open the drawer. It has to be on top, someplace open.
Yeah, but let's say you have your iPhone, iPod is very expensive, then that outweighs everything. So that's really Muktzeh, yes.
I would say it's not like for like a purpose of a need, but like let's say like those people who live in those areas who like threatening places, are they allowed to carry like something for protection, or is that for
The gun.
You're allowed to carry guns?
Well, they can carry guns in Israel and
Is it?
they carry guns and
even in Hancock Park, some people.
Yeah, I personally know a rabbi knows they have to from a rabbi in New York who carries a weapon to kill robbers.
oh really?
He's a deputy sheriff.
He's a sheriff.
yeah, but if you have this a native, it's really not a problem. It is a protection. It's a Kiddush Nachtalisa, and
But it's sorry, kids. No one's using their gun for anything.
it's something. See, the Southern kiss.
It's valuable. Like
Yes,
never gonna allow them to use
but
it.
I'm allowed to have a very valuable thing if I'm allowed to use a Shabbos. I'm allowed to use that gun Shabbos when I need it. So that makes it a usable item in Shabbos. How about killing the guy? Doesn't make a difference. I'm allowed to walk. And the guy might come, I know it's a bad neighborhood, I might have to pull the gun.
But you can use a phone too. I mean, if you need it, you can use your phone too.
No one relies on the phone. No one walks in their neighborhood with a phone. I have a neighborhood who doctor likes to walk, you know, Kelly's, and more than once, you know, when the Schwarzes came to him.
There was Shabbos for someone whose wife is pregnant, due any minute, and they go to shul on Shabbos. I see guys carrying cell phones, no?
Yes, but if you, that's, carrying the cell phone is only if you send it on the aid. It's very important to know that. I heard this and the Babisha told me that, yeah, so I said, but you don't carry data. So it's not, how can you go to shul? Don't go to shul.
So let's say you're sending
If you send it on data, theoretically speaking, yes, a phone should be okay then. You'll carry it as a phone.
I see, if you're not sending on the A-road, then
Yeah,
there would be no.
the guns are set. You can't carry. I mean, there's no head to carry. Stay home. Stay home. Don't go out of the house. There's no header. I mean, people have told me this, the header. So there's no header. I'm going to go out, so I'm in danger, so I'm going to carry. There's no header for that. There is no aid. Don't go out and don't carry a gun.
Well, that's like, you know, live up in that, whatever, Berkeley or whatever, you walk outside, you turn on the lights wherever you walk.
So that's right. They don't go out Friday nights.
You have to stay in the house.
A few people live in, this was in Palo Alto. So the lights literally go on Shabbos when they walk by. There's no lights, it goes on. Street lights go on that way. So if you can't, they don't go to shul Friday night.
So for example, the gun and the phone. So it serves a purpose when you go to shul, when you come back home, it's Muktzeh.
No, something that you use all day long, you know, it's something that you use, now you go back out. But it has to be, see, I want to explain about the gun. You know, people are, how do you call it in English? It's happy trigger, how do you say it?
Trigger happy.
You know, people have guns, are very quickly to carry the gun, and every place is dangerous, and the world is coming to an end. Rabbi, I need to carry the gun. You know, this is really, the world is not coming to an end, but they enjoy carrying guns. That's really what's going on. You know, it's like, you know, if you live in a neighborhood, I don't know, is this such a bad neighborhood here? It's such a bad
You don't
neighborhood.
need it.
Only we're
If you
fit.
live in a town.
That's a little Hebron, you live in all those Stockholm, that's dangerous. That is known to be dangerous, so they carry guns, they do carry guns.
Right.
Because it is known to be dangerous, but you live in a neighborhood, it's really not dangerous, but you know, why not carry guns? You're right, in the neighborhood. And that's so, all these cities have a, all over. All over.
The same thing would be for a person who's a soldier in the army, carries gun on Shabbos.
They have a head to carrying the gun Shabbos because of Shemitah and Medina. They hold up. You know, they might be called up and we don't want anyone delayed, and they stopped doing it. They stopped wearing the guns. It used to be very, when you were...
No, 5 years ago, Rosh Hashanah, I was by the Kaisel and I saw people with M16s on their necks.
Could be they were on duty.
Off duty. Before it.
Because I was told they stopped doing it already. Okay. Let's move on. So for the Kedish, that you are Muktzeh, you gave up to use it. Us Gimel, we are on the next page. The Kedish so is the Stamm Shimtash in Kelam Khune the under the school standing for business. I have people ask me this question. I have a lady in my community who used to sell dresses. So she wanted to know if the dresses are Muktzeh. She has a basement, you know, and so you know, it's put away there, not for use. It's put away to sell. That's what he's talking about. If you're the type you're not makbid, but you see a item in a dime and the camera of Shtamish Ben, if you can't the Muktzeh lehavs without you allowed to use it. See, that depends. Let's say, you know, dresses, you can take it off, they can put it back on. If you have a shirt neatly folded, you know, these, I don't know how to fold these things, it takes me an hour to unfold it, but you know, get these, no one in the right mind is going to say, okay, you can open the shirt. I mean, unfold it. A dress, I could hear a lady says, I sell dresses, or I don't care, some, you know, my children want to try it on, whatever, I can hear it. You can hear that very well. But something that people will care, if it's an expensive item, you know, even though it's a hat, not talking about Muktzeh, just talking a hat or something expensive, you don't want anyone to touch it, then it's Muktzeh. Okay? But that would have been do shikeli mamish. Or we're talking about something that's a keli, a vessel. I'll do a she'eni keli mamish, the she'eshu to this came out, Meshu ishtamish be'esh tash v'shabbos, kon gizish et semer. We have no idea. Every person have, people have, my mother, be healthy, live long, every family had a cow in Europe. You have 13 children, you needed a cow to give the milk for the 13 people. They used to have, in times of the Shiurim still, people used to have their own wool stored in the house. And they make, when they have free time, they made sweaters for themselves, they have wolves. It's only about 150 years ago, 200 years ago, when the Dust Revolution came up, so people didn't have to do their own wool. They bought spoons already. Before that, this was a normal thing. So people, the mother says, everyone had raw wool. Now, raw wool is, the mother says, very interesting. What do you use the raw wool in times of Chazal besides? Used to hide the pots in them. They didn't have a fire running like we do. So one of the things they used to do is make hatmona, it's called. Hatmona means cover the pot, insulate it, to keep the food warm. They used to insulate it. So that was used for such things. So Mamela, gizit sem is raw material. So the pens down, the raw material is not a keli. You can't say, well, I don't care if you use it. If I didn't take it out of the storage room before Shabbos, now I just want to use it for something. It's not a keli, it's muktzeh. It's raw material. Even though you really don't care.
So keli is more makel
than raw material. That means you have wood, lumber. But you don't care. You bought lumber left over in the sukkah, you would learn. It's a raw thing, it's not a keli. You can't just decide, I need that piece of wood to hold the door open now. It's not a keli. So it's not a keli. So you have raw lumber, you have a lot of nails, raw nails are being used. Yeah, it's a good idea just to put a nail. I noticed over here, right? So we got the door done, so someone put a nail to screw. Let's say you need a new screw Shabbos, you can't take it out. That is raw material, it's muktzeh. We'll see later if that screw is not muktzeh Shabbos.
That screw is okay.
Not so sure.
Because it's designated as the...
It has to be designated forever. And I knew that this is not going to last forever. Even, fix the door, right? You don't need this one anymore.
Wow.
So
ongoing process.
the raw wool that's in the storage room, it's muktzeh. But if I want to use it to put my cholent pot in,
So you took out Erev Shabbos. You hit your cholent pot. Certain cases, it's not muktzeh. But on Shabbos, you decide to take it out, and for any reason to use it or something.
So we better put a screwdriver than a screw.
Right. Screw. See, we live in we live in a society today that we'll never use a screw for a long time. It was obvious every time I came and saw the screw, I was just wondering how long it's going to take you guys to have that door done. But for sure, it wasn't going to be forever. They would use, the day people lived, they would have a stone that would hold up the door for the next 20 years. And why fix it? You can't afford it, it's cheap, but who cares? We are not that type. We have door stoppers. We have fancy door stoppers, not just used to be there, and I noticed now in the shul, but they're going, and once the door open, the piece of wood is a very fancy one now, very updated. And so we live in a generation where everything is made and pre-made. We'll never use a stone for that. We'll never use a screw for that. So screw is raw. So even right now, you came up with something to do it. It is not a keli. It's raw material. So let's say Shabbos, you need this screw to keep this door open. Whatever, you can't take the screw out because that's raw material, it's muktzeh.
Like if you find a rock on the street, you want to use
It's
that?
also you can, that's for sure now. Even if you prepared it before Shabbos, since you know it's going to be only for one Shabbos, it doesn't work, it's muktzeh.
But how's that different than the raw wool? You also need
The raw wool was that way, you would use it for a long time. Society was those days then.
That screw, we used it for many months, right? So now that we fixed it, let's even just throw it in the garbage. Its purpose was...
But you knew, if you would have asked anyone in the shul, you think it's going to last one? No, next week it's going to be done already. No, it's going to be next week.
We had that one screw.
It was the one screw.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but you didn't plan to have it a long time.
But that's never going to be used, even if it's never going to be used for anything else.
Right, because it has to be, raw material has to be something that you designated forever. You knew, and I knew, and everyone knew here. It's about me 2 weeks, until someone's going to collect the act and figure out how to do it. So be nice and donate this time and fix the door.
So the wall you designated before Shabbos, you can't go on Shabbos and use wool.
Right, but if you designate before Shabbos, it becomes like it became a vessel that's heating the pot, holding the pot warm.
So a towel today is not raw material, you can use a towel.
Towel is a towel.
Already finished.
Wait, so there's no.
But a towel is considered what, like a.
Keli, it's a keli shmam b'lehet, so you're allowed to use anything you want.
Not for a fun, no.
Yeah, before Shabbos, we don't make it one on Shabbos anyways.
Right.
Before Shabbos, so she's saying if you decide to use the towel to hold the door open, you know what I mean? Doesn't make a difference. The bottom line is, the towel is. So that's what he's saying. Shiurim is kein kol kiritz, and he says, "You mechnis in the oitze the schole bittel to this keli, shoy lein usel talteln, in allem mit talteln. Ab sheni mak klale mistamish ben kim khoyze yach the tashmish le oilon." See the last line? Unless you designate it forever. But us, we don't live in such a society. We don't designate anything forever. You'll find the door stopper. I knew the door was going to, you knew the door was going to be fixed. Nothing, I mean. See, even that, whatever it's called, it's a camera, what's that, it's a camera? Even this camera, you guys figured out, to have it nailed to the wall and put on a thing, and that's how our society is. We live it's very hard for us to have the picture how they lived. Because you live anything that we need for comfort, we figure out, get a thing, just put up this thing and have it done for us. They were creative. They put a piece of wood, they put a piece of rock, and they put this, and...
So all the things today that are designated for Shabbat, that you have to have that in mind, this will be...
Yeah, well, not many things we have, because we live in...
It's okay. Meaning if there was a fork in the door, it's not a problem.
Not a problem.
It can be used for anything else.
Or hammer, or screwdriver.
Right, it's not because it was a screw, which is considered like a raw material.
I went to someone's house to show them Zohar many, many years ago, and I noticed there's a rock holding the door open. So I asked them, the last few weeks I have problems with the door closes, they can't keep it open, so I put a rock to go. I told him, that rock is Muktzeh, because that door is going to get fixed. You're gonna call the landlord till he's gonna fix it. You're gonna be on his case. So the rock never was put there just for a few weeks, for a day or two, and you hope tomorrow it's gonna be done. It schleps, but the bottom line, it's not there forever. So that's Muktzeh. Even though he was using it for a few weeks as a door opener, keep it open the door. That does nowadays. It's Muktzeh.
But if I open my peanuts or my walnut with that rock, I can also...
If you see, you're never going to designate it forever. We have nutcrackers.
Can I ask you about this forever? It's a very, I don't want to get philosophical, but you change reality backwards. I'll give you an example. I take that screw and I destroy it. That screw, for its whole existence, for my decision until it stopped existing, it was only for that purpose.
It's not what he was for.
Why not? What does it mean forever?
No, but it doesn't mean, it means like this. When you put the screw there, you knew that this is temporary.
Yeah.
You hope if the rabbi had been sitting here, he was probably hoped that tomorrow I'll get it someone done.
No, I don't think so. No. The reason why I'm saying is that the door wasn't broken. The reason why the screw was there was we needed a fix so that it wouldn't close. So because when people come from outside, they don't know the combination, so the door wouldn't lock.
But you figured out a way, right?
Huh?
You just came up with a creative way. It's fixed now, right?
No. No.
You thought forever we're going to have a screw there
No,
because
it
it's
was.
come in.
Yeah, but what they gonna
Put
say?
a handle on the top
Yeah, but did you think that the screw is going to be there forever?
for a long time. No, it was that same screw was there for several months.
I know, but when you first saw it, didn't you think somehow someone's going to be creative and you knew it's not going to be? That's the point.
It's the intent when you're using it at the time.
See, in those days, let's say the
I would answer that whether it's that screw or another screw, the way that our worker had figured out to house a way to hold the door is using a screw. He didn't have a better solution. So yeah, when it's that screw or another screw, the way to hold that door open was using a screw.
You don't get the picture. You knew that this is going to be temporary. A day, 2 days, a week. You were surprised that it took a few months. Honestly, right? You were surprised. Come on. Took a few
No, the
months.
screw broke, that's why we don't have the screw. It's true, the screw broke.
I'm just saying the point is, when they put up the screw, it was not meant to be there forever.
Nothing is forever. I mean, we don't.
No,
And even the door doesn't last forever.
We don't mean that forever. We knew that if it's just temporary so the good old days when they used the rock to keep the door open, this was there for, endlessly.
It's the attempt to classify as.
But their rock, when they used the rock, it became
Exactly. Yes.
So let's say they use the rock and they're like, this is going to be the rock for the door, but then,
They lost the rock.
Joe Schmo comes up and invents, the famous door.
That's okay. That's okay because when you designated, this became your house, the door stopper or door opener, whatever. But when I use the screw just for we'll figure out a way how to do it. That
The
just
screw broke. The whole
Yeah, yeah.
life is with a screw.
that's a separate issue.
We
That's
used
a
it.
separate issue.
So Kaylee, is a candelabra that I lit Kaylee should walk the list, or it's just in there?
It's Chalachta and Chasor Kiss if it's a silver one.
But if it's not,
Then it's just a case.
but it's lit, and I want to bring it to
Once
the
it's
room.
lit, later, Lord, you can't move it for this
So
reason.
the Shabbos lamps that you can twist, and you
It's
can
okay. That's not that's.
why you?
It's not. It's just a Kiddush not to listen. Many hold. See, it's good to do. Let me explain. The Shabbos lamp. See, a bulb is different. We'll have to explain it in more detail. But a bulb is not like a lech. I wear watch Shabbos, even when I don't hold Kedera. I hope you're allowed to wear a watch. Period. Something that's on your body all the time. So how do you wear your watch Shabbos? There's a battery inside. So what? So there's nothing wrong. The battery's allowed to be working. A light is allowed to be lit. It's only by a candle they learn why. So many when it first came out, the Shabbos made a tumble that you have to move it. So he came up with an idea: don't move the whole thing, just turn it. For the Machmiim, he came up with a good invention, and everyone uses it. But it is what it is. It's a practical thing. You want it to be dark, it'll be dark. I'm explaining. So it's a keli shnach listen. That's all it is. Because that thing, you would use it a paperweight. It's not so expensive. It's just
Rabbi, you said you don't open the air. Does that mean you don't hold it? Or you don't
I don't use it. I tell people carry the air.
Okay. Just want to clarify.
Just for my machma for myself. But I do wear a watch.
He does wear one.
Even a place where there's no air.
What if the battery dies during Shabbat?
Well, this battery dies every 4 years. Every 4
What you
years.
can do is you can open up and fix it.
So if someone has a cell phone that's very non-valuable, and they carry it around with them on Shabbos?
Well, okay. Well,
Does it want to look at the time?
because what is he needed for?
So look at the time.
If he has a continuous time, most people don't have it. If he's used to this time. Well, there's another problem, but to make our own say it's very tempting. He might just pull it out and open
Okay,
it.
so even a digital clock, can someone carry a digital clock in their pocket?
Yes.
Could you take off that watch on Shabbos then? Could you take off your watch on Shabbos then?
Yeah, right.
Okay. No, I thought because it has to be on the whole time.
No, I mean, it doesn't have to. Something that's on your body why can't you wear your glasses? Something that's on your body all the time becomes part of you. If it's worn on your body, it's not carried on your body, it's worn. Your glasses with you, people have a hearing aid. It's something that, even though it's done for something else, that becomes a malbish. That's not
What
done.
about sunglasses? Are you allowed to?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't always have.
Well, the problem with sunglasses is that there's no aid. People just like to take it off all the time. See, if you carry sunglasses on top of your head, that's called carrying.
Yeah.
Unless women believe that there's a style, A lady came to my door at 11 o'clock at night, sunglasses on top of her. That's a style. Okay.
Looking out, there's a Fabrengen in the Lincoln Shul in honor of Rosh Hashanah.